Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the program. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Activities are in top gear. On Sunday night, we saw some 16 governors thereabout of the APC coming together to talk about issues around the general election, particularly affirming that February is sacrosanct for their party's national convention. We're looking forward to hear from the caretaker committee later on today as regards a specific date to the party's national convention. But yesterday, PDP governors also met in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, and they are also talking tough, particularly ahead the reconvening of the National Assembly today. They want them to overrule president's veto or completely just take the clause away and expedite action as regards the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. We're hearing that the Senate might not be talking about that this week, and we might have to wait till next week. We'll look at other issues as regards what seemed to be delay in governance activities, particularly in pre-election year. Is that what would also be the lot for 2022? We'll look at some of the other issues that are arising ahead, the big one in the coming year. I'm joined this morning by communications consultant Ademola Adegoke. Good morning, sir, and thank you for finding time to come.
Good morning, Nifemi, and good morning, viewers at home.
It would appear that the two major parties are kind of silent about, their zoning arrangement, even though, in the outgone year, it was popular, the topic of rotational presidency, as it were. But both of them don't seem to have made it public what their intention is going to be. How are you reacting to that development?
Well, I think it was the Chinese statesman Mao Zedong that said that politics is war without bloodshed. And war is politics with bloodshed. What that means is that some of the elements you find in war, you also find in politics. And what do you do in war? You don't let the enemy know all your tactics. You don't give him that opportunity. You do not let him into your arsenal to know all that you have in your armory. So you withhold some. So I think that is what is playing out here. The two parties are kind of, watching each other to see, okay, let's see where this one comes from before we release our own tactics. So it's expected. You don't expect that they will, they will give out all that they have in their arsenal to their chest. So that is expected. But beyond that, I want to say that if there is any worry that I have, it is that Nigerians seem to have put themselves in the cage of just these two political parties, the APC and PDP. Before now, there was so much talk, about the third force. And now one can now say whether the third force, the much touted third force, where are they?
They're likely going to break out from the two big parties, from what we've seen play out in time past. But what we call the opposition party in 2015, that could gather all the strength to defeat an incumbent, were a fragments of the big party and some other opposition
but do not forget that by then, I mean, in 2014, in 2013, 2014, we were already seeing, the storm was already gathering, and we already knew that, PDP as it was then, cannot be the same. I'm not saying the kind of, maneuverings and, tactical moves. The two parties are making the tactical moves now. And it's like, especially the youths, who before now had said that they will, come 2023, they will slug it out with the major parties, and they will. And you now see, it's like, they have, everybody is quiet now, leaving the stage to just these two political parties. And at the end of the day, one of them will rule us again, and then we'll be complaining. you know, the Greek leader, Plato, said that one of the penalties you pay for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. So if at the end of the day, whoever that emerges from, you know, any of these two political parties, you know, wins the election, you don't because you cannot be complaining, because at the end of the day, when they were making their moves, now you can see, I can assure you that by now, so many of them are not, you know, they are not sleeping when you and I are sleeping anymore. You know, they are making their moves, they are going around. So it is expected, you know, but we also expect that if truly, you know, we say we want to stand up to these two political parties, at least for them not to be taking us for granted. You know, those who want to act as the third force should by now be standing up to them.
It's January 2022. Is there still enough time to have a third force that is independent of the two big parties?
Well,
that is quite formidable.
That is quite formidable. For me, it's looking like we're not going to have that. And if we are going to,
they come out to just very too late.
You know, and if at all they are going to come out, you know, you know, the opposition they will provide will be so weak.
All right, let's turn our attention to Rivers State, where some 10 PDP governors met yesterday. We'll find out exactly what they talk about, and we'll return to do some analysis on it.
Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike hosted his colleagues from 10 states and one deputy governor to the meeting at the Rivers State Government House. Shortly after the arrival, the governors entered into a closed-door meeting that lasted for about 4 hours. With the political environment gradually heating up, there was high expectation that at the end, they would address the uncertainties about the plan of the People's Democratic Party to win the 2023 presidential election. But from the outcome, the wait for the PDP to openly break its silence on the controversial subject continues. They chose instead to mount pressure on the National Assembly to override President Muhammadu Buhari's veto on the amendment of the electoral bill.
The PDP governors requested the National Assembly to quickly conclude deliberations on the Electoral Act amendment, either by overriding Mr. President's veto or deleting areas of complaints. The meeting advised that the option of sustaining Mr. President's veto will lead to a quicker resolution and will deny Mr. President the opportunity to once again truncate a reformed electoral jurisprudence for Nigeria. An early concluded electoral act is vital for credible elections.
The governors in their communique identified some indices that they say support their conviction that the PDP can be trusted as a better manager of the nation's economy. They appeal to the electorate, especially the young people, to brace up to effect a change of leadership at the center using their votes.
The next election is a very consequential election that should be used to end the dominance of very youth-unfriendly APC government, a government that had the arrogance to deny Nigerian youth the use of Twitter, a business-friendly tool for the young, for over a year. The youth should empower themselves to determine who leads them come 2023.
Expectedly, the governors also discussed security, using it as an indices to score the performance of the APC administration. They recommended the decentralization of the country's security infrastructure, as well as better funding and training of the security agencies. Uche Okoro, TVC News, Port Harcourt.
Apparently, the governors are mobilizing along party lines. On Sunday night, we also learned that APC governors met on similar issues. Let's hear out Matiku Bagudu, who's the chairman of the Progressives Governors Forum.
We took inputs about the reviews, and we noted all the misrepresentations in the press that, and said to seek to correct that the Progressive Governors Forum is one united body, as you can see evidently from the attendance, and our decision is unanimous. We are united behind Mr. President, and we thank him, and we are united behind the caretaker and extraordinary convention planning committee.
Rivers State.
All right, so let's get to it. Mr. Adegoke, are you concerned about governors' activities dwindling in pre-election year, or do we have a track record where governors have the capacity to both handle politics and governors with the same, you know, the same commitment? Because the thought is, oh, 2022, we're counting down to 2023, this is where it all stops, and then all attention turns to political fields.
Yeah. Definitely, you know, the shift of attention to politics will affect governance. There is no way it will affect governance. And you know, what still is the fact that, in fact, if it had just been maybe affecting the attention that the managers of our system, the rulers, pay to governance, if it had just been that, maybe it will have been okay. But you will discover that even some of the funds and facilities of the state, you know, will be diverted to personal and, you know, to pursuit of personal ambition by this, especially by those of them that are, you know, running for one office or the other. It is not even those that are not running because maybe they want, you know, they are so interested in who, you know, succeeds them after they. You see them diverting, you know, all the facilities of all the, you know, structures of the state towards, you know, pursuit of personal ambition. And you know, in this climb, we have not really learned how to, you know, call people who govern us into accountability. That you cannot use that which belongs to the state, you know, for the pursuit of your own personal ambition. But we see that, you know, all the time. So we will be deceiving ourselves to say that this is not going to affect governance. In fact, some of them have already abandoned governance. All they are, you know, interested in is, you know, how they realize their personal ambition. So it's to be expected.
Let's take Judge's call from Ikeja. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. and greetings to your best.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm not surprised at the low ebb as, you know, in the political arena, especially as it concerns younger people. I've said it several before in the past, that there's no way they can just come in and power handed over to them. Generational change is not a sudden thing. They have to fuse into these parties and maybe through the legislative houses to ensure laws that will favor them. But what I'm seeing, somebody just wants to come from the United States and become president of Nigeria in a country he left for 40 years ago. Things do not work that way. And the declaration by Asiwaju Tinubu for presidency has already shattered many pundits in that regard. Nobody wants to waste his money in a venture that he knows cannot work. You can see that even the major political party, the opposing party, they themselves are finding it difficult to even know what to present that can counter the rhythm on the other side. That's just the truth of the matter. But I think the youth should not give up. They should, you know, re-strategize and begin to fuse into these parties. That's why I was very particular about that aspect of the primaries. If youth were predominant in legislative assemblies, that direct primaries is what can bring them closer to governance. They can't just come from the top. Right now, it's only the money bags that will keep find their way to being nominated because it's costly. The consensus thing is very, very costly. The delegate thing is very, very costly. The youth don't have that kind of money. And many of them are good in governance, but you can't get there. It's just my view. Thank you.
Thank you, George, for your contribution. He's talking about the fact that younger people have to find their way through the big parties. But does that not turn logic on its head? Politics is expected to be a game of numbers. Young people have the numbers. Can they just mobilize themselves behind a younger person?
They can. But you know. You see, one of the problems of our present system is the serious monetization of the whole, system, the political system, electoral system, and in a poverty-stricken environment like ours, it's so difficult, for you to come and then you preach to people just, on ideological basis and all that, and you think because people are hungry, and so the people that the beneficiaries of the political system, talk of the two political parties, they know this fact. They know that people are hungry, and that once put that bait before them, they will go for it. So this is the thing that the youth. The youth do not have the money to throw around. But then, you understand, if you have strategy, if you one of the things that you need to do is, sensitization of the people, and then reawakening the consciousness of the people to the fact that, whatever you are getting now is just temporary, it's just ephemeral, Someone gives you 2,000 and he goes, and in 4 years you don't get to see him, and he runs, your affairs, the way he likes. So the youths, even if what I'm saying, you may try at the first time and you don't get it, but the journey of 1,000 miles, they say, starts with a step. Perhaps. I expect that go into at least go into the contest first, and then see how you can mobilize the people, sensitize the people towards realizing the fact that there is another option for them. If you preach the message today, it does not, it doesn't get the buy-in of people. Tomorrow it may. But for you to stay aloof and expect that power will be served, to you a la carte, as it is said, I don't think it can work.
Perhaps poverty is a political strategy after all, because a poor man is first and foremost concerned about
his survivor.
Yakubu has called in from Dokwebo. Good morning.
Good morning, Nifemi, and then good morning to your guest. Nifemi, I think I totally agree with your guest and then the last caller, Mr. George. And then it's not quite long now. Your guest mentioned about thought force. As a Nigerian politician today, come 2023, I don't see any thought force. Imagine as the president of this country, it is not possible. Because before you can win an election in this country, you must have a base. And then the only thing that can make youth to get to that power, it is to use one strategy. What is that strategy? Means that they should make sure they infiltrate the two parties, the two big parties in this country. They should make sure they infiltrate the PDP. Fight for the position in the local government and then the world level, so that from there you can start. But for you come from somewhere and then thinking that you can become a president of this country in a night, it is not possible. About the declaration of Ashwad Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you can see where everybody is not coming out and declare his intention. So having said that, the 2023 is going to be a very, 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 very good year for Nigeria, so that we can be able to choose whoever we know in our mind, whether they give money or not. But the only fear I have is this. You see, the party level it is high, quote and unquote, because if somebody that has never seen 1,000 naira in entire 3, 4, 5 months, and then somebody come midnight and giving you 2,000 naira, it will be very hard for you to reject such amount of money. It is not somebody like me. There's no amount of money you can give that make me change my mind. I know who I'm going to vote for, even from now. Not even 2023. I've already had somebody in my mind that I'm going to vote for that person. Nobody can change my mind for that. Whether you like it or not, no matter what you tell me, I know who I'm going to vote for. The only thing I'm praying is that the person should get the ticket of the party. So that's so big. So I will say that the youth, I come again, the youth should make sure they infiltrate the two big parties in this country. That's clear, they can get it. Failure to do that, go on Twitter, go on Facebook, stop all sorts of things. It can never help. Good morning, God bless you, my brother.
Good morning, Jacob. Thank you for calling. Perhaps another alternative is collect the money and vote your conscience.
Of course, that has always been preached, but that has always been the message to people. But like he has said, you see, if someone has not he has not taken his this almost afternoon, and he hasn't taken his breakfast, and he does not know where it's coming from. You understand? And you offer him because he has to cast his vote, and you say, take this 2,000. He will want to take, because one, what he's thinking about is, how do I survive this moment? Then I can be thinking of the next of what comes thereafter. Like you have said, I think that the managers of our system, they know the weakness of the system. And the weakness of the system is that people are hungry, people are impoverished, and it does appear that perhaps it is deliberate, so that because when people have economic freedom, then taking political decision becomes easier. Making, independent political decision becomes easier. But when people are in economic bondage, the way, many of our people are, it will be very difficult to take independence, to make independent political decision.
Of the giveaway, and then you see politicians hand over sometimes very meager, substances of food.
But people fall for it.
To the praise of people. Abdul Latif has called in from Idu Shaga. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And good morning to your guest.
Good morning.
As per the third force, like your guest said, I don't see the third force coming. I don't see them coming because if one is late, and secondly, for the youth are really not ready. If they are ready, definitely they will not. By now, they must have infiltrated the two parties. They are very active on social media, especially Twitter. But majority of them don't have PVC, and those that have PVC, they play football on election day. They are not strategic. Yes, I agree with you that poverty is a strategy in Nigeria. They've used poverty to subject people to perpetual abject poverty. That little cash, people fall for it. But I can tell you for free, Nigerian youth of today, they have the strength, but they fail to realize that strength. And until then, you keep shouting and blaming all the government that comes to power. My name is Abdul Hafiz. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Let's talk about the qualification. As we count down to 2023, we had the Speaker of the House of Reps yesterday saying that senior secondary school certificate is perhaps no longer enough to qualify who becomes a president or a governor in Nigeria. Do you agree with him?
I agree and I do not agree. I'm not being ambivalent, but that's what you still have in the Constitution. And it is because, the senior secondary school certificate, back then, it was enough because of the quality of education that you receive at that level. By the time you finish at that level, there is almost, anything that you cannot do on your own because of the quality, But
do we still have that same quality now?
That is why I now say, I said I agree and disagree. If we have the kind of quality, that education in those days, had, that made the framers of of the Constitution to say, okay, if you have up to school cert, because if you have up to school cert, your eyes are already open to the world. You know everything, and you can from there do self-development. And then when you even look at some of our leaders, of those days. Take Chief Awolowo, for example. Yes, he later, took a law degree, but by correspondence. After first having, his school certificate, he took, he didn't even, he went to teacher training college, and from there, took correspondence, read commerce in University of London, and then, went to read law. So, if you at that level, if the quality of education had not nosedived the way it has presently, so now it will have been enough.
Now we can agree that it has nosedived.
It has nosedived, but
So is it still relevant?
Well, it is not. But that is not to say. That is not to say that. That is not to say that.
Because there's scarcely a job you would get. Let alone getting now what we consider the biggest job.
It is
in the
not.
country.
But I'm not even. I do not know whether paper qualification is, is all that I'm concerned about.
Hold that thought. Let's take Ada's call from Jos. Good morning, Ada. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. It's Ada calling from Jos Plateau State. Good morning to your guests there.
Good morning.
Let me tell you something. This idea of paper qualification, as much as I believe in paper qualification, that's not the issue in the Nigerian situation. After all, in the United States of America, it's school set there, The thing is, the institution, if you have strong institutions, that will help to kind of provide a kind of check and balance. We don't have it here. So no matter who you put, provided we have weak institutions, we're going to have the same problem. So it's not a question of whether it's a youth or whether it's an old person and all that. If you can be old and you're innovative and you use the technocrats, appoint the right people, square pegs in square holes and all whatnot, they move the country on. But we don't have that. There's another problem again we have when we talk about all this vote buying. For instance, what played out in Anambra, some people were able to reject the money. Some took the money and they did not vote for the person that gave them the money. So if the polling booths are designed in such a way that you don't even see who the person has voted for, that will also help. So that's another way forward. Then again, the parties, we have a lot of rivalries because of lack of internal party democracy, and they're living in denial. You see them, they wake up telling us the convention we hold on February is sacrosanct, yet somebody has resigned again. A DG has resigned from that party. So what are we talking about? So we have to really, face governance and be real in what we are doing. Even the youth, the youth, they are not even ready. They are now following the money bags all over the place, support groups. So what are we talking about? It's really unfortunate, this country. My own is that this electoral bill amendment, that is what we help to strengthen the institution. Let them expunge that clause of direct primary. It's a red herring. They don't really need to cause confusion. Why won't they talk about it this week? Why are they deferring it to next week? They want Buhari to have an excuse not to get it signed. But if he doesn't sign it, society will never forgive all of them. God bless you. Let's not give up on this country.
Thank you, Ada, for not giving up. All right, what exactly would you say? Because I like us to think of this from the constitutional point of view. There has to be a minimum standard as regards the qualification for a president or whoever wants to be a governor. Do you think that the SSCE as it is currently should be reviewed upwards?
I don't have any issue with us, raising the bar of qualification for our political office. I don't have any issue with that. But if we see that as the silver bullet that will provide solution to all our political problems, to all the problems we are having, politically, we'll be making a mistake. It's not going to be the silver bullet that we think it will be to all our political problems in this country.
You're saying that it is one thing to be educated, it's another thing to be competent.
Of course. I would rather, in fact, you took the wind off my sail. I would rather go for competency rather than just the, you know, paper qualification.
Well, it's just like what we call federal character. The fact that we can get a qualified person in different parts of the country. I think that we can also get a competent person that is educated. That is,
yes, we can, because I want you to address your mind to this fact that maybe now you will say, maybe, I don't know, that's what people say, that the president is only exclusive to that, but I disagree anyway, because all the military institutions, you know, he attended, you know, are all post-secondary, and they teach, you know, whatever you think, you know, are taught in, whatever you think is taught, you know, in civil schools, diplomacy, leadership, and all that. Even those military schools, you know, teach all of this. It's about personality. You understand? It's not necessarily about the paper qualification that anybody brandishes. For me, you know, I will say that you know, we should, you know, just like Ada just said now, we should build institutions. Now, okay, ask yourself, apart from maybe the president that you may say is maybe he only has schools at, I mean, that's the argument, you know. But apart from him, in the whole federal setup, from the vice president to the senior president to the speaker to all the ministers, who among them are not, you know, degree holders?
Please hold
who
that
among them are not degree holders?
Mazi Okorafo, good morning.
Good morning, my brother. Good morning, my brother in the studio. You see,
good morning.
What Nigerians should be looking at now is people that do have integrity, people who have a good quality, people who have the potentials, people who have Nigerians. That is why I've been telling people that, look, leadership, we should hold our leaders accountable. Where we fail to hold our leaders accountable, we have failed. Now you ask yourself, now let's go really from what's happening now in youth. We have seen what's happening about the COVID-19 that keeping Boris now at the stand that's hanging. Why? He has already apologized, but they said that he should do what? He should resign. Now he's pleading with them. Now we should look at people that will be having such mind that when they commit anything, when Nigerians say, look, we have done the wrong thing, they will accept it. Not the people that they are the power, when something happens, the arrogance they will give to the people, they will use security men, arrest, don't try to call that, and they will hang it. No. People that are going to have a record that Nigeria should be thinking of. Not the question of somebody just come from somewhere. If you go around Nigeria, all the capitals are looking, you see posters upon posters. Now you ask some of the posters, we have not even had such names before. We have not even seen such people. Where have they been for the past, since we started democracy, and they are now futuring? We shouldn't think Nigeria should move that way. And that is why I'm telling the youth, please, you have to be very careful, because the way some of the youth are dancing, who are facing those same youth, what type of mentality does Nigerian youth have? Instead of to sit and think what we should be doing, at least between now and 2023, you are going around collecting posters and be placing for some people and just saying that you don't even have a focus on what you want as a Nigerian. When you collect this 5 naira, the person enters the office 2023 and dumps you, you see going and be drinking your Goskolo to Tolin as you solve your problem. No. That is to say, Nigerians, we have to shine our eyes and look for men that are ready, whether it is woman. The area we treat, the better. But we continue dancing. This man is my tribe. This one, politics of sentiments, tribalism, religion should be kicked out from Nigerian politics. Failure to do that, I bet you, Nigeria will still going round. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bazi, for your contribution this morning. So I think the key word here is education. The qualification just shows that you are education inclined, because think about it, across all the fields of life, you need to remain educated. It doesn't matter whether you are doing it without the 4 walls of an institution. You need to keep learning and unlearning to be able to improve. And, you know, one of the most competent kings in the nation of Israel was a guy called King David. And the history book says that he led both by the integrity of his heart and the skillfulness of his hands. So I think we can both agree that, okay, education is key, but the person should also be competent.
He should be competent. It should be, like I have said now, if you are, placing so much premium on just education, I've said it now. Take all the 36 governors, for example. which of them has a school cert? Then you won't find any school cert holder, you know, among all the governors. But how has that translated into governance in their state?
Maybe we need professors.
So I don't think, for me, the problem is not, you know.
I think that Governor Zulum is a professor.
Yes, that's a professor. Yes. That's a professor. And to a very large extent, you can see the quality of governance in a state. But that is not to say that every professor will, you know, replicate what he is doing in Borno.
We have seen professors do terrible things, you know, during elections. We use a lot of them as returning officers and the rest.
So that tells you that, for me, I would rather we build institutions that can auto-run.
Let's take Uche's call from Anambra. Good morning, Uche. Are you there?
Good morning.
Good morning. Please go ahead.
Good morning, panel. Yeah, my name is Uche, calling from Nnewi.
From what?
I want my contribution here is, you know, when we say secondary school, there's no problem. I don't think we are saying the truth. Yes, in this current dispensation, I don't think anybody that has a secondary school certificate can get a job. Even Dangote drivers, most of them are graduates. That is a driver here. And we are saying that the president of the country should just have a school certificate. Are you kidding me? So we should raise the bar. I subscribe to what the Speaker of the House of Reps said. We should raise the bar. Because by the time you go further in your education, your mental acumen will rise. And the way you reason, because when you look at this current administration, everybody is running around the head, and you cannot be above the head. And the head, what does it have? So let us raise the bar. That is my contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Uche, for your contribution from Nnewi. Part of what we expect the National Assembly to do, if they're not too busy with politics, is the Constitution Amendment Bill. And then we've seen a lot of that take place in the outgone year. But they just have about 17 months now before the end of their tenure. Are you optimistic that they can pull this through, given all that will be required of them?
I do not see that political will in the present National Assembly to effect the kind of, you know, change that we want to see in the Constitution. Do not forget that one of the issues raised by the PDP governors meeting is the issue of state policing. And, you know, you are not just talking about the body language of our president. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, even he has come out clearly to, you know, to let us know that he's not well disposed to reach. And the reality of the present situation, you know, demands that we start thinking outside the box, you know, security-wise. So these are issues that one will expect, you know, our National Assembly to address. But I do not see this National Assembly, you know, doing that. Even the issue of electoral bill that is still pending, having to do with the refusal of the president to assent to the bill assent to him by the National Assembly. You know, the PDP governors meeting advised that the National Assembly should override, you know, they should override the president's veto. But then I don't see the National Assembly doing that.
But that's the only option before them. They can, you know, just take that course out completely.
I see them expunging. I see them expunging the controversial, you know, clause about direct primaries. And if you ask me truly, you won't. You see, the proponents of direct primary option, they have a point. And people that are, you know, the people that are opposing it also, you know, have a point. If you ask me, I am worried about an electoral system where someone can sit, you know, in the corner of his room and dictate, you know, the direction of political choice or how the election will go. Because all that someone needs to do is to see, you know, the delegates, camp the delegates in a room, see them the Nigerian way, and then they do his bidding. Right. That is worrisome.
Let me take, just a minute, sir. Let me take Richard's call from Port Harcourt. Good morning, Richard.
Hello, good morning, Mr. May.
Good morning, sir.
And good morning to your guests.
Good morning.
Thank you. Very interesting topic. So now, regarding the qualification of the president of Nigeria, my own take is, among other things, credibility and other things. Now, just go to any newspaper or browse online and check the qualification for just maybe executive assistant or administrative officer of a company, a job vacancy, yes, and check the qualification they require. You will see BSc. They will even tell you master's degree will give you an added advantage. And they will outline all the other qualifications that you have to be a member of a certified, maybe a
professional bodies.
Yes.
And a professional body, exactly, will give you an added advantage for a job that will not even pay you more than 70,000 naira if you are lucky. And we are talking about the president of over 200 million people in Nigeria, and you are telling me that qualification is not why do we celebrate mediocrity? Have you seen Ghana president? You see the way he talks, because he is sound. But we are talking about Nigeria president, and we are debating about school sacks and all that. We should have gone past this. We are in the 24th century, so we have credible people. Qualification, paper qualification. We look for credible people. Somebody like Kingsley Mon, for example, he has shown credibility and he has track record. Those are the kind of people we should be looking at. Enough of mediocrity. And Bullion Van is going to fail in 2023. Bullion Van will fail. The youth are ready. For all those people who think the youth are not ready, is a lie. We are coming. But just like NSAS, you won't see us coming. Good morning.
Good morning, Richard. Thank you for your contribution. Let me just inform you that any moment from now we'll be linking up, bringing you live coverage of the National Progressive Women Conference 2022. It's tagged One Voice, Women Uniting for Progress. So just watch out for that. It will be brought live from the Abuja International Conference Center. Let's look at what Richard just mentioned. He's talking about you know, mediocrity, the need to upgrade what the qualification is. But if we look beyond all of this, how has it, you know, reflected, you know, adequately on national development? Because let me take, for instance, the COVID-19 pandemic. Personally, I'm disappointed that with all of the, you know, ivory towers that we have in this country,
we have not been able to
come up with a vaccine. Even though there were pockets of claims here and there, but it's quite unfortunate. And then you go back to the schools, you see the consistent strikes, and then you wonder if we have even tackled the issue of quality education to be able to demand for it.
You see, let the points be made clear that every Nigerian, for example, is, you know, we all stand for, you know, getting the very best among us to lead us. We all do align with that position. So nobody is saying that we have to stick to school set as the benchmark, you know, for qualification for the position of the president or governor in the land. Nobody is saying that. But what we are saying is that we do not, let us not think that once we do this, it will, you know, be the silver bullet that will solve our problems. That is the issue. What one is saying is that beyond paper qualification, what is the track record of the person, you know, in deliverability? You understand? What is his track record? So we don't just say this because this one is a professor, then he will perform. If you do that, you make a big mistake. So we need, just like we have said, competence, you know, over paper qualification. We need to think of that. And like you have said, if we are focusing attention only on paper qualification, even in the ivory towers, we see the way, you know, some of the eggheads, you know, run the institutions. We see crisis, you know, all over there. So I think there has to be, you know, a systemic overhaul, you know, of our entire system. So that
Benga's called in from Abuja. Good morning, Benga.
Good morning, my gentlemen there. Your data spoken well, and I've had many callers who spoken well. The one thing I want us to know is that, apart from competence, we need to ask ourselves, what is the pedigree of this candidate?
Yeah.
What has he achieved in the past? Like a David, there was a confirm Goliath. Has he seen a lion before? Has he seen a bear before? Because we have many Goliaths confirmed in Nigeria. Goliaths of poverty, insecurity, economic problems, and all those infrastructure decay in Nigeria. That person wants to look at what has he achieved in the past. And I want to say that because there is no independent candidate. As of now, the party, apart from other qualifications, will be looking at somebody that is marketable, somebody that is acceptable, somebody that will give them votes. And where it comes from, opportunity cost. Like now for APC, what is the kind of APC vote from the southeast? It's not up to 10% there. They can say, okay, it will pick somebody from there, or they get it from there. So all these things will come into play. It is when the party bring a candidate, they cannot be talking of all these competencies, who is this, who is that. And for now, the senior party want to win the election. And they want to consider that factor accessibility, marketability, opportunity cost, and number. What would they get from this candidate? It is when they select their own candidate, you cannot be talking of all this competency, what is that. But I'm telling you that no party wants to lose this election. And they want to get candidates that will give them the highest vote, because democracy is a game of numbers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benga, for your contribution. So he's taking us back to the party. I remember reporting a story yesterday or the day before from Ekiti State, where we saw, you know, governorship aspirants protest what they allege to be, you know, a former governor writing
high-handedness of
delegates. Because people will tell you that call it direct, indirect, or consensus. You will be shocked to know that if we don't deal with the systemic error or corruption, you can still manipulate it whichever way it goes. But as we come to 2023, how involved do you think people can be, particularly at the party level, to be able to demand that the political parties that will field candidates are actually fielding the best hands, you know, and giving Nigerians the best options to pick from in the election year?
You see, one of the problems of our system presently is that we have, you know, we have dictators masquerading as Democrats. We have people who only think about themselves and themselves alone, masquerading as Democrats. And until we evolve a system that can adequately, you know, checkmate the excesses of such people, we will always have this issue. Like the Ekiti example that you just raised, the World Congress was held just this last Saturday, and from all indications, there was this, you know, deliberate attempt by someone to hijack the system. So, if you have such, what do you have in place that even if someone wants to hijack the system does not allow, you know, the built-in measures that you have within the system will not, the default of the system will not even allow you to do that.
Let me take Uche's call very quickly from Enugu. Good morning, Uche. You have just about 1 minute.
Do you think
pleasure that you have.
You have to turn down the volume of your TV if you're still there, Uche.
He was talking about the bill. Okay, the
all right.
Okay.
Well, I think.
Yeah, my name is Uche. I'm calling from Enugu.
All right, go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm here. So, like I said my name is Uche, and I'm calling from Enugu.
All right, go ahead.
Now, my own contribution in this matter, it's like we want to go back to where we come from, and which is really not good in this our country. Putting this the number one citizen as a benchmark of school certificate, my dear, it's not good for this country. You present, what is your qualification of being where you are today? The qualification is very high compared to number one citizen. Fine, it's not a good to make it as a benchmark, but honestly, integrity also. But they should put it at a very high level of at least a university cert or even an OND cert, not a school cert. A school cert for a number one citizen to come and be leading professors, come and be leading intellectuals. My dear, we should think about this thing very well. Honestly, we think school cert, my dear, is very, very too common as a number one citizen of this country. And because of that school cert, is bringing too many manipulations. Professors will see you because you don't have the idea. You don't have the ability to control.
I believe you made a point. Unfortunately, we have to go now. My dear Uche, I have a university degree, but I'm yet to use it. I've not had the privilege to actually submit it for a job. So, I mean, my job has been pretty much about your competence. Are you able to do it?
That is it.
Nobody cares these days to find out if you've really gone to school. So I'm hoping that in time we'll be able to, mop up this conversation.
That's the point. That's the point one has been making. It is good to raise the bar, and one is not saying it is. No, nobody is. After all, we all went to school. You did now. If you never went to school, you would not have been here. So we all went to school. But we are saying that it's not by going to school that you are doing what you are doing, and it's not by going to school that I'm doing what I'm doing.
That's right.
So we need to also, that part of, competence.
That's right.
Should be.
We have to go now. Ademola Adegoke, communications consultant. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you for coming today.
So much.
We'll continue the conversation tomorrow, God willing. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.